Hey Econ students, happy Tuesday. Today's pretty simple, just a little practice. Luckily, there are not that many FRQs about monopolistic competition, so you're in luck. 2002 and 2016 were the last two, so that's what I'm going to challenge you guys with today. I say challenge you. I'm going to do it with you, so it's really not that big of a deal. And then at the end, I've got four multiple choice questions that I'm going to put into your discussions that I'm going to ask you guys to answer for your class activity for the day. Shouldn't be anything wild. With your answer, of course, just do like a one sentence, super simple, like reason that that's the answer type thing. I know that you guys don't have to do multiple choice questions, but you are going to have to explain answers. So I think that that's going to be super important. And you guys are going to see the focus today isn't about drawing the graphs. It's about interpreting, reading, understanding what's going to happen to those firms in long run. That's going to be pretty important. Ties in a bunch of good concepts that I think are going to be super helpful. Some other things that we probably have to talk about, I'm saying relatively soon because is you guys taking your AP exams. So are who's going to be taking it when? I don't know if that even matters. I guess I have to talk to my curriculum associate. I don't know if it matters to them when you guys are going to take these tests. But typically we'd be done in May and we'd be some of you might want to take it in June. And I'm not going to, no judgments here. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that we are back before that. But if we're not, I'm here. I will be, I'll continue this. Sometimes this is the best part of my day. See, you guys are the only people that listen to me and you don't complain. Well, you do. Some of you send me emails and you're not necessarily happy. Izzo, your video was 31 minutes. David Salmonson. But I get it. I even shook my own head at my own self. So I get it. But you don't know. It's so hard. I like having an audience. I like you guys talking and being weird, and I miss it. I do. So clearly this is an outlet for me. Maybe I should see a therapist, you would think. But, I guess I can't really talk like this to the kids. I'm usually saying, no, don't step on his neck. His leg doesn't bend that way. Yes, your spit is shiny. That was a recent one. Spit. They like spitting on each other. So exciting. But with that said, I will stop. So again, maybe we'll do a survey or something like that. I'm just interested. Because I'll continue, or I'll slow down, or I don't even know, I'll modify, especially if people think that they want to, or do you want to maybe take macro then and then have more time with micro? I don't know. And some of you might want to just be see you, and be done with it. I don't know. So I'm just going to again remind you, I know that maybe not everyone's watching these videos. I don't blame you, because I guess when I go and drone on and on like this, you're I've got to stop watching those Izzo videos. I'm losing my mind. But again, the link to the Mr. Clifford course tutorials were in announcements. I know that some of you turn off notifications. I also sent it to you on a Saturday, so it's again half my bad. I have no problem. You guys have been emailing me. I've been sending you guys or telling you guys check announcements. That's where the link is. Just because that's what's easier for me to tell you. If anyone wants me to send it to them directly, though, I could also do that too. It just takes me a little bit longer because I have to find it. But I can do that. It seems like most of you guys have kind of found your way with that. What's also cool about that is that you also have resources for AP Gov. So to me, I feel like that's amazing. Again, that's me. The things that I find amazing, things you find amazing. Even though some of you guys were hating on me about Tiger King, and now all of you guys are watching Tiger King. So I don't want to hear it. All right, all you cool cats and kittens out there. All right, I'm done digressing. I think you guys, I have a text message, and I'm really excited about it because I miss people. 2 free response questions. We're going to do them together. You've got to answer 4 multiple choice questions, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, so good news, bad news. Good news is that there are not many FRQs that have asked about monopolistically competitive firms. You will see again that I've tried pulling actually. One is from 2002 and one is from 2016. So there has been one recently, but just they don't do it too often. So the first one asks, assume that two firms are operating with identical cost schedules, but one firm is in a perfectly competitive industry and the other is in a monopolistically competitive industry. So it says using two correctly labeled graphs, show the long-run equilibrium price and output levels for each of those. Since you guys are not going to be asked to graph, I was kind enough to do this for you guys, and I gave you guys the graphs. So again, a couple things that I'd hope that you guys would be focusing on in seeing this is that both of these in long run have their price equaling ATC. So if you guys remember that the reason that we call monopolistically competitive was because it acts like a perfectly competitive firm in the, and again, I'm going to highlight that, in the long run. So in the long run, both of them are going to be experiencing zero economic profit or normal profit. So then they say compare the long run equilibrium price and output levels for these two firms. So again, and I get this is just random, but this should just say Q, and then this should be P. So again, you could go and say something like, maybe I'll go and label this, and hopefully you guys are able to see that this is your perfectly competitive firm. There, that says comp, and then this says this is your monopolistic competition firm. All right, and then you would say again that your price is essentially where your marginal cost equals your marginal revenue is how you get your price, and that's also how you get your quantity. Whereas for the monopolistically competitive firm, where you get your quantity is where MR equals MC, but where you go and get your price is that you go up to the demand curve in order to get your long run price, and that your long run price equals your or hits your ATC curve, so that your total revenue equals your total cost. Again, zero economic profit or normal profit, boop, 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 right in the long run. So the next question asks, or part C asks, what level of economic profit will each firm earn in the long run? And again, you would go and say that they would receive zero economic profit or normal profit in the long run. And if you guys remember why that happens, in the short run, if they were experiencing profits, more firms would go and enter, or if they were experiencing a loss, then firms would leave. And again, they would experience zero economic profit in the long run because of those barriers to entry, firms entering and exiting the industry based on profits to be had or losses to be lost. It's a weird way of saying it, I guess. But for the last one, it says, for each of the two firms at the equilibrium quantity, indicate whether the firm's demand curve is perfectly elastic, unit elastic, inelastic, or perfectly inelastic, and how you can tell. So again, the first one's easy with Mr. Darp, and I apologize for not having his full name there. Again, I know him very well. So again, going back to a perfectly competitive firm, we know that that's going to be perfectly elastic. So again, this is perfectly elastic. I don't know why I'm writing elastic perfectly, but I didn't have room. All right, perfectly elastic. Again, how you can tell is it is as horizontal gets. And we know that that's one of the characteristics of Mr. Darp. He's a straight shooter. All right, continuing on. And then how do we know at the equilibrium quantity? So they're asking us at this, again, essentially at this point here, all right, on our demand curve, on the demand curve right here at this quantity. And we know, and if you guys can go and remember this, if you guys remember our total revenue test, and we said that when marginal revenue hits this point, all right, that's our peak of total revenue, and then marginal revenue becomes negative, and then the total revenue starts decreasing, if you guys remember that. And we said that this range was called something, and then this range was called something. So again, we said that a monopolist would only go and produce in the elastic range. They would never produce over here on this side in the inelastic range because they're experiencing negative marginal revenue and total revenue decreasing. So we know that it must be the elastic range of that demand curve. So that would be your answer. All right, so here's a 2016 question for you. I told you, haven't been many. 2002, then 2016, they throw it in. A Marion company operating in a monopolistically competitive industry produces a cleaning product called Bright Clean. The company currently produces the profit-maximizing quantity of Bright Clean but is operating at a loss. Draw a correctly labeled graph for Marion Company and show each of the following. It says the profit-maximizing output and price labeled as QM and PM respectively, and then the area of loss. So again, because I know that they're not having you guys go and fill these things in, I went and did this. So again, this is going to be PM and this will be QM for you guys. But now you would need to go and understand where you would go and draw in this loss. So I'm going to do it in red. Notice again the quantity where MR equals MC. All right. Then we go up to our demand curve. That's how we went and got our price. And notice that the price that we're charging is below our ATC curve. So you're going to go up to your ATC curve and then go over and then shade that area in as your loss. So that's all you had to do for one like that, but just making sure that we understand why there's a loss, what it would look like if there was a loss. That's going to be super important. So then they ask you, what must be true in the short run for this company to be able to produce at a loss? So remember that we've got a couple of options. We could produce or we could shut down. So they're essentially asking, why aren't we shutting down? And we know that as long that must mean that their price must be above which cost curve. So again, when we said that if the price is greater than our AVC, we're going to produce. So that's going to be really important. So again, what must be true is that the price must be above their AVC curve. All right, so again, that would be perfectly great to say. Then they say, assume now that the demand for cleaning products increases and that the company is now earning short-run economic profits. Relative to this short-run situation, how does each of the following change? So again, what's going to happen now if they're now earning short-run economic profits? Well, our firm's going to want to enter or exit this. Again, when we were experiencing a loss, firms would definitely want to leave. But since we're experiencing short-run economic profits, the number of firms is going to increase. All right. And again, it says, how is it going to change in the long run? We know it's going to increase. All right. The number of firms. And then what's going to end up happening to the company's profit. Remember that what happens to monopolistically competitive firms in the long run is that they'll all end up earning zero economic profit. So as the number of firms increase, the company's profit is going to decrease until it gets to zero economic profit or they reach a normal profit. Then the next piece says, in the long run, if the company continues to produce, will it produce at the allocatively efficient level of output? So again, going back, this is a monopolistically competitive firm. We know that they're going to produce where MR equals MC. We're going to go up to the demand curve. That's what we're going to do. We know this is inefficient. So we proved it out that they are not allocatively efficient and they're not productively efficient. They're not productively efficient because they don't produce at the minimum ATC, and they're not allocatively efficient because they don't produce where supply equals demand, which would be right here. So you say, no, they're not allocatively efficient. And again, you can say because they don't produce where MC equals, supply equals demand. If you want to say MC, I guess you could say that. But you could also say that they limit production in order to go and maximize profits. The last one says, in the long run, will the company be operating in a region where economies of scale exist, and explain. So going back to the idea of economies of scale, if you guys remember that economies of scale, if you remember that your long run ATC is actually made up of lots of short run ATC curves, if you remember that. I just drew a bunch of check marks. It doesn't really, you connect all of them. It's supposed to look nice like that. But the whole idea is where we're producing where ATC is coming down. So we're not producing at any point over here where ATC is on their way up. So yes, we are achieving economies of scale because we're producing at a point where ATC is decreasing. And that's essentially all you'd have to write for your explanation. So again, notice that in this region that they're experiencing a decrease in your average total cost, which is the whole, purpose of scaling and getting bigger to try to minimize costs, why you buy in bulk and things like that. But if they were to go and go beyond that, which is again why we don't produce typically, again in this area, remember this is the inelastic region, we wouldn't go and produce here because again our average total costs are going up, our average total costs are increasing, I could say it like that too, and we're not achieving economies of scale, we're actually getting diseconomies of scale, if you guys remember that concept. All right, so hopefully this was a good review. I believe it's 4 multiple choice questions on the next slide. So in the discussion for today, I just want you guys to go and answer those 4 questions. I'll have them numbered and you guys can just copy and paste and just give me a simple sentence as to why the answer is that answer. Just keep it simple. All right. Have a good day, guys. Bye.